It has been a while since we reviewed a monitor on the channel, and this one that I have for you guys today is a BenQ 27-inch 1080p monitor that is a new release from them for around $279. This monitor is the XL2731K, one of their new budget entries that is also a TN panel, which is the first TN panel that I've taken a look at in a really long time, because I've just been really against TN panels for about the past year and a half, just because IPS panels are finally getting much faster and lower in price as well. And I also reviewed BenQ's Mobius 27-inch monitor that we'll talk about briefly later on in the video when we get to the verdict on this monitor. Now, keep in mind, with the differences in panel technology, with TN panels, you're gonna get a lot worse color reproduction as far as video editing and photo editing and doing anything where you have color sensitive work. And that even includes media consumption as well, because watching videos on this monitor is not the best experience, especially when you have an IPS monitor literally right next to it, or even if you have a cell phone, because all cell phone displays, regardless of the refresh rate of the cell phone, the content just looks so much better, a lot more lifelike and realistic, which this monitor, if you have it on your preferred gaming settings, when you go back to watch a video, you'll definitely have to change the mode, because you are not going to enjoy that viewing experience going back and forth from gaming to watching content to back to gaming to watching content without changing your modes drastically. They will look completely different while gaming and the color settings that you like to use while consuming content, so just keep that in mind. Ergonomically, this monitor does feature an improved base over the previous version, which I have not used personally. The base is now the same sturdiness as the other one, but it does take up a little bit less space, and it is also a little bit more ergonomic in terms of, like, let's say that you're one of those people that like to play hyper competitively and you like to eat your monitor, you can bring it really close to you, turn the stand, and keep the monitor at a very good angle for you so that you can put your entire face into the monitor and become Valorant.
Literally.
If you really want to be the game, you have to play just like this. This is what the pros do. Just keep that in mind. If you want to be a pro, you gotta play. Now, this monitor goes up to 165 Hz refresh rate, features a 1 millisecond response time, and you also have some other interesting modes like black equalizer and color vibrance, which both work really well, especially when you crank up that black equalizer. You really have to put back in more color to give yourself a little bit more of an advantage to be able to properly distinguish an enemy from the background, because if you just crank the black equalizer without cranking that color vibrance, everything's going to be really washed out. You're not going to be able to see a thing. Speaking of which, you also want to make sure that you max out that brightness of the monitor, because with it being a TN panel, you need as much brightness out of this thing as you can possibly get so that you can see things in better detail and clarity, because without cranking that brightness, you definitely won't get it, because the color is not going to be there to show you the detail or clarity to properly distinguish things, for example, like you would in an IPS monitor. Now let's talk about DIAC real quick, because that was the reason that I wanted to purchase this monitor and try out DIAC for myself, and I quickly learned that DIAC is just BenQ's way of doing black frame insertion, which I've already assumed that that's what it was, but I wanted to see if it was something like more magical than just basic black frame insertion. But on this monitor, it's nothing special. The DIAC mode considerably drops down the brightness to, I want to say, really less than half. I didn't even like measure the difference in the color, but the brightness drops down so much I could not use this monitor with either of the DIAC settings. They had a DIAC premium setting, I want to say is what it was, which is the like the higher setting, and then you can drop it down to high, which is the first level of DIAC that is ever so slightly brighter than premium. But both modes were so dark that I could not personally recommend using either of them. I couldn't see anything, and to be honest, did it make the motion clarity a little bit clearer? Yes, but it also made targets a lot more impossible to see, in my opinion, just based on the screen brightness alone. Your screen has to be bright enough for you to be able to look at it and see and distinguish targets at any given range, and that monitor with the DIAC on absolutely failed that for me, even without playing in a well-lit room, like turning off all my lights and RGB and all this crazy stuff I got going on in the background. Turning all that stuff off, just having this monitor, my second monitor on, and the lights in my PC, the DIAC modes were too dark. So I don't recommend using diag at all on this monitor. So I'll make this really quick for you guys. More or less, AMA off is useless. AMA high is the one that you really should be using. AMA premium, you do get a little bit of ghosting, but it is still pretty usable. But I think high is the most balanced with diag off. Again, as I was saying before, with diag on, the motion clarity is greatly increased, but it also makes actually looking at the screen like nearly impossible to do because the brightness is just so low. More or less, if you plan on using diag, I wouldn't go anywhere past using diag high. If you try diag premium, I'm pretty sure that you will come to the same conclusion that diag premium is very dark. Honestly speaking, even though it's only $279, which for a 27-inch monitor sounds like a pretty good deal, it's really not. I just want to bring to your attention a couple things. If you want something that is a little bit smaller than this monitor, you can get it in a 25-inch form factor, which probably won't change any of the differences in terms of like diag and things like that. But more importantly, BenQ's Mobius line, their budget line of IPS gaming monitors, are actually a little bit cheaper, if not around the same price as this monitor. So this monitor is $279, right, for a TN panel and 165 hertz and things like that. But I would rather take the older BenQ Mobius monitors, are IPS for the most part. The one that we're going to talk about is the XL2731K. That one I actually reviewed a year ago. And that monitor, in my opinion, even though it has 144 hertz as opposed to 165 hertz, I had a much easier time both gaming and viewing content on that monitor as well. Not to mention that it had built-in speakers that sounded pretty good. I didn't necessarily love that little bit of orange that they had on the stand, but to be honest, this stand also has red on it with that little cable management thing. So both of them I would say are equally as bad as far as looking like gaming monitors. So I don't really think that either of them win in that category in terms of like the exterior design, but that one does also feature thinner bezels, so I'm more apt to give it to the Mobius monitor. And just the fact that the IPS monitor, since it has much better color reproduction and around about the same amount of adjustments that you can do in terms of the stand as this monitor, I don't see any reason why I would buy this monitor as opposed to anything from the Mobius line with an IPS panel. It just looks so much better. It's a lot more versatile. Even though it might be slightly slower in terms of the refresh rate, the TN is not really going to help you win gunfights, especially with that extremely dark diag mode. Now, I do plan on trying out the super expensive like $600 TN panel that they have, this 25-inch. I plan on trying that out with diag plus to see if diag plus is actually worth it. In this current state, regular diag premium is garbage. I would not recommend this to anyone, and honestly, $280 spent on this monitor, I would not recommend anyone pick up this monitor and use it as their daily, their sole monitor, their gaming monitor, nothing. I would not recommend this one at all. But I just don't love this thing, and having an IPS monitor literally right next to it like the entire time while I was testing it, I'm just not a big fan. And there's no way that I could spend $280 on this and be comfortable maintaining this monitor for any extended period of time. You guys now see why I held off so long on reviewing any BenQ TN panels, just because like everybody says that they're like literally the best thing since sliced bread for competitive gaming. But playing like semi-competitively, not even playing up against pro players, just playing competitive with skill-based matchmaking in Call of Duty, I was not having a good time. Like I could smack on this monitor a little bit, but with that diag, it wasn't doing anything for me. The motion performance was better, but the brightness was worse. You can't trade off something that directly impacts visibility when you're trying to improve the visibility with that massive compromise of your brightness. That's all I got to say about this monitor. Don't buy it. Buy the Mobius one instead. I will catch you guys in the next video. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video as well. This is more like a brutally honest monitor review, I guess. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the review on, I have a few monitors actually coming in, but one of them is a 4K 150 hertz one from ViewSonic that has HDMI 2.1. So if you have a console, stay tuned for that one if you're interested in a review of a $1,000 console monitor. And then also stay tuned for another BenQ monitor review, the expensive one with diag plus. We're gonna see if that one is worth the hype or not, but I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching.